Hello, lovely listeners. I am coming in today with actually something I've started to do inside our Time Hackers community, which is invite anyone to ask questions anytime. And I'm going live and creating like micro videos. Because one of the realizations I had is that sometimes when I'm interviewed on podcasts or sharing with you guys on the podcast, that is where my latest thought leadership is. And obviously, I love you guys. I love that you're listening and I want you to have access to that thought leadership. But I also want to always be ensuring that my clients are getting access to it as well. So one of the things I decided is that they can ask me a question about anything and I'll create a short video and answer it for them. Now, the one that I answered actually yesterday has inspired this podcast because I think this is a huge topic. So we're going to talk about pressure today, which you can probably tell because of the title. And more specifically, we're going to talk about the idea that we perform better under pressure. You have probably heard it many times. People comparing you to carbon, right? Pressure creates diamonds. Let's work under pressure. And here's the thing that I want to tell you all. If you are someone who works under pressure, puts yourself under pressure, and thinks that pressure is responsible for your past success, right? You are crediting pressure, then here's what I want you to be aware of. As long as we think pressure and working under pressure is something that creates success, we are going to be seeking pressure, creating pressure, and even desiring pressure, right? If we think pressure creates success, we want pressure if we want success. So if you have goals, if you are ambitious, then you are going to want pressure because of the belief that you have that's very out there in the world, let's be honest. Like I said about the diamonds phrase, I've heard that a million times. I operated, by the way, from pressure is my success, is part of my success equation for a long time. And this led me to literally, I remember studying at university and I would wait till everyone had gone to sleep and I would like to work exactly at night and I would drink black coffee all through the night. It was like I was seriously putting myself under pressure for no reason. I had the daytime to study, could have done it then. No, no, no. I had to wait till it was sacrificing sleep. I had to wait till I was on the edge. I had to wait till I felt anxious. Like all of these things that I thought were necessary, right? This is how I create success. I put myself under pressure. So what do I keep doing? Putting myself under pressure, even when it's making me feel ill, even when it's making me nauseous, even when it's making me tired, even when I feel myself not operating at my most optimized level. Didn't matter because that pressure was there and that pressure was going to create success because I believed I worked better under pressure. So if you are listening to this and you are nodding your head and saying, yes, Vicky, this is me, I work better under pressure. Today's episode is for you, and it's for you to share with anyone that you know that also operates this way. This is a message that I wish I could travel back in time and get into the ears of 19, 20-year-old Vicky. And I just think about how different my life would have been, how different my health would have been, how different my relationship to myself would have been, how different my success would have been if I had been willing to put down pressure. Ugh. Okay, so here's what I want you to consider. When you say that you work better under pressure, I want us to get a bit granular with it. I want you to tell me, or well, not me. I mean, you can pause it and say it out loud with pleasure. You can grab a pen and piece of paper. You know me with these podcast episodes. I'm always encouraging you to listen, but also to follow the steps that I do. That's how you create change and drive change. So I would ask yourself really like, how do you show up when you're experiencing pressure? How do you show up when you're experiencing pressure? So if I think about that version of me that was creating pressure so that I could study and pass my exams, I actually showed up very distracted. I actually showed up distracted. I showed up stressed. I showed up jumpy and anxious. I showed up like wanting everything to be meticulous and like very perfectionist and starting and stopping again and rewriting the whole page again. Everything had to be very like specific in a certain way. That pressure, I was like trying to hold it down while living and operating from pressure. So how do you show up when you have pressure? Are you more stressed? Are you more snappy? Are you more likely to make mistakes? Well, how does it show up for you? And you can pause this and answer. The second thing I want you to consider is, how do you make decisions when you are operating under pressure? Are you making decisions that you then backtrack on? Are you making decisions that are unsustainable? Are you making decisions that aren't viewing the whole picture? I'm thinking about that version of me, right? Who made decisions that I would study at night, that I would drink black coffee at night, that I would wait till the whole world was dark, I remember having like all my pieces of paper on a floor in the room. There was all different, like, that I'm making decisions to organize and reorganize, making the decision to start the entire thing again when I made one mistake or I didn't like how one word looked, because in those days we were handwriting our notes, our research notes. Like, what are the decisions that you're actually making when you are experiencing pressure? Right? So what is happening? Like, how are you showing up with pressure? What are the decisions you are making? And how are you feeling in terms of your fear volume? Is your fear volume up? Is it down? Your fear of failure, is it up or is it down? For me, this volume was like super loud. So if I think about time hacking, and time hacking is centered around the idea that things don't take time, they take hacking your brain, hacking your decisions, and hacking your fear of failure. If I break down what pressure actually creates for me in terms of those three very specific things, it is not setting me up for optimized performance. Like, if you were telling me that my surgeon was going to be operating under pressure, and this is how they were going to show up, this is how they were going to make decisions, and this is how they were going to experience fear of failure, would I want that? Would you want that? Would you want it for someone you love? And if the answer is no, then maybe just consider something that I also had to consider at a very specific point in time that changed my life, which is, maybe you are successful in spite of pressure, not because of it. In spite of pressure, right? There's this whole additional hurdle where we say, okay, in order to get from A to B, I need to experience pressure. Well, what if we can skip out the whole pressure and just focus on getting from A to B? Sounds better, right? And so this particular question, the person asked, they said they wanted to feel commitment. So I really want you to then consider, how do you show up where you feel committed? How do you show up from a place of commitment, right? It feels very different to pressure. It's like grounding and strong. It's powerful. It's like focused. That's what I think of. But really, I encourage you to ask for yourself, like, when you are really committed to something, when you have a high commitment, how do you show up there? How do you make decisions then? How do you make decisions when you are committed? For me, I make decisions when I'm coming from commitment, from a place of, like, calm, quiet, steely self-trust. I make decisions from a place of, like, not needing everything to work out immediately, not trying to prove anything to myself, but being in it for like the long haul, right? How do you show up? What kind of decisions are you making when you are committed, when you are in commitment? And what's your relationship to fear and fear of failure when you are committed to something? Because for me, I'm like, yep, I knew you would be here. Great. Every time I experience you or encounter you on the path to creating what I want, what I desire, I'm going to experience more commitment. I'm going to be reminded of my commitment. This isn't a problem. None of that is a problem. I'm committed, I'm focused, I know where I'm going. It's a very different experience. So I really want you to consider, what would be different if you put down pressure and picked up commitment? How might you operate differently? How might you decide differently? How might you experience fear and fear of failure differently? And how might that be actually what allows you to achieve success faster? So that's really what I wanted to leave you with today. And just wanted to remind you that as of today, 5th of August, and don't worry, you can catch the replay. We'll leave the link in the show notes. I am creating a pop-up, a 5-day pop-up for the Productive Weeks Challenge, which you can still join even if you are listening on the 8th of August live. And if you are listening afterwards, you can still catch the replay. This is where I'm going to spend an entire week with me. Let's create your most productive week together. I'm going to be using the same framework that I speak about all the time, that changed my life, transformed my business, allowed me to really actually achieve more than I thought was possible in such a long time, in such a fraction of time, right? My 3-year goals within 6 months, but my 3-year goals were stretch goals. That allows my clients to get promoted multiple times, to take months off over summer and not earn any less money, to create 3 or 4 day weekends, to launch their side hustles, to whatever it is. This process has done it. This process by now has created thousands of productive weeks. Thousands. This is a tried and true method. This is the method that I still come back to every single week myself, that I will not put down. Now, listen, sometimes I don't do it on a Monday. Sometimes I do it on a Tuesday. Sometimes I don't do it perfectly. I don't want to ever offer you something and say you have to do it all the time in order to be perfect. You actually get to do it as often as you want. But I will say, for me, it's that like point in a trampoline where I keep jumping up and down in the same spot and flying higher and higher. Whereas so often we're looking for like the next productivity hack and the next productivity hack and the next. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and then I'm going to plan my entire week on a Sunday, and then I'm going to time block every 15 minutes, and I'm going to use the Pareto method, and then I'm going to eat the frog, whatever it is. I'm like jumping and jumping and jumping. This one thing is the thing that you have been looking for. So I hope that you will join us. For those of you that are already joining us, I cannot wait to hang out with you. Celebrating you, creating your most productive week. And like I said, if you're catching the replay, you can access it literally immediately on demand right now. You do not need to wait to create your productive week. That's it from me. Thank you for being here and listening, and I'll see you guys in the Productive Weeks Challenge. Bye.